Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to talk about the quest for the perfect straw continues, going beyond paper and plastic. Years after plastic straws first came under scrutiny, new replacements have entered the market. This is an NBC News article, July 30th, 2022. So Elliot Lewis says, plastic, then paper, now pasta. Okay, so it says the humble straw that became a flashpoint in the broader battle over environmentalism continues to evolve. And while there's not as much fanfare, non-plastic straws are making inroads. Companies are making straws out of steel, silicone, glass, bamboo, hay, grass, seaweed, flour, pasta, and fittingly, straw. Now right there, what's missing? Oh, I know. If you watch my videos before, you know. Hemp. Okay, but the hemp is not listed in there at all. Okay, so that's an error here. So there's a growing interest in continuing to create straws out of plastics, though companies have popped up that have developed straws made from biodegradable and compostable plastic. Okay, so neither one of those is much of an improvement. If you've watched my videos before, number 2 on the education and agenda the world needs to solve our environmental problems. Since November 93, I would have already solved our problems. Number 2 is ending our disposable society, from homes to fast food to stadium concessions to packaging and transportation packaging. You know, it works to reduce by reusing, the top 2 levels of the environmental hierarchy. We didn't have environmental problems when we were a reusable society. You know, it's not just the plastic cup and the plastic lid and the straw that sits in your hand. I mean, that's 3 components for you to have a drink. They were all manufactured, packaged, transported. Okay, you know, their packaging was manufactured, packaged, transported. You know, there is just endless processes going on 24/7 to give you a cup, a lid, and a straw for you to have in your hand for like 10 minutes. Okay, and the solution isn't to have, as he says here, biodegradable and compostable. No, the solution is you just don't have disposable. But they don't talk about that anywhere in this article either. Okay? No one will talk about that. Well, a little bit. Okay? You would think they would talk about it because they did mention that straws are made out of steel, silicone, and glass. And you know, those are all, I've seen steel ones out there. Every so often, I'll see someone with a steel one. But they don't talk about that in this article at all. What do they talk about? Pretty much biodegradable, compostable plastics and paper. You know, I mean, even if you are using bamboo and hay and grass and seaweed and flour and pasta, right now with the food shortage, you think we should be using flour and pasta? Okay, even if that was hemp instead of those two, okay, even if it is biodegradable or compostable, it is still a single-use product that has been manufactured, packaged, transported, and will be taken away from where you threw it out to the place where it's going to biodegrade or compost. Okay, all of these processes wouldn't be here if we were doing reusable. And it's super easy to do. But yet they don't talk about that at all in this article. Okay, so yeah, so right there, this article is very remedial, but this is all society will talk about. No one will take the big step of actually doing what needs to be done. It says growth in the sale of these alternative straws has been significant. So right here, Kayla Vaya, a category manager of disposable drinkware, right? Disposable drinkware. It shouldn't even. This should not even be a job, okay? Because we shouldn't have disposable drinkware. But at Clark and Associates, a company that directs several national and international restaurant supply distributors, said eco-friendly and alternative straws constitute 22% of sales in comparison to 65% for plastic and 13% for paper, but they are growing at by far the fastest rate with 150% growth in 2022. But that's not responsible. The only thing you're doing by having compostable and biodegradable is you're just eliminating the fact that they're going to sit around forever. But that is the only thing you're eliminating. So you get it out of your sight, so you think you're doing good, but the whole huge mountain of all the processes it took for that cup that you use for what? How long do you use a disposable cup lid and straw? Seriously? 10, 15 minutes? I mean, maybe if it's a big one, maybe if you linger on occasionally, an hour. I mean, probably not even 10, 15 minutes. Okay. And all of these processes that are going in. So this should not even be a job. That's, uh, uh, but they don't talk about that. Okay. It just, you can't bring that into the conversation. But this says, while traditional plastic straws are made of polypropylene, a growing number of straws and other single-use plastic products, right there, manufactured, packaged, transported, all these processes, endless, round the clock, toxins, chemicals, water, electricity, everything we say we don't want. Oh, it's all these single-use plastics being made of biodegradable and compostable plastics. Um, okay, so now they're made of biodegradable or compostable, but that just, as I just said, just makes it go away after you've used it. But the whole mountain of all the processes that it took to, put that cup and plastic lid and straw in your hand are just still there. They're lingering in the environment. They're lingering in the toxins that are in your drinking water and in your ear that you breathe, And then what do people do? Oh, they go out and buy things to detox their body. When, what we have to do is just start living responsibly again. It says straws made of bioplastics are now highly represented in the market and offered by companies such as Beyond Green and Fade. Beyond Green, it's not green. They talk about that in a little bit down here. So it says it looks like, acts like, and behaves like a traditional plastic straw. Well, that's great. The president and chief revenue officer of Wincomp that manufactures Fade straws. I don't really know what Fade is, but I would imagine it's, these compostables made out of this stuff because he says it looks just like a traditional plastic straw. So he implies it is kind of, a plastic. That's right here, Yale Environment. Yale, who has been refusing the solutions the world needs for a very long time, 2 decades. But they talk about stuff like this. According to Yale Environment, bioplastics like PHA, right there, and the PLA represent a 9 billion share of the 1.2 trillion plastic market. So that's what it's called. Oh, bioplastics. So that's what he's referring to here. That it looks like and behaves just like traditional plastic, but it's not responsible. It's a single-use product, and the single-use product is what's killing us. So it says they're made of very strong things, blah, blah, blah. But he worries that bioplastics often get overhyped. There's no magical solution. Where you use it, and irrespective of whether we manage it properly or you throw it away, that product will disappear and will be removed from the environment. That doesn't exist, he said of some alternative plastic alternatives. Okay, but the magical solution is we just don't talk about disposable products. Okay, as I said, nowhere in this article do they end up talking about, the reusable steel, silicone, and glass straws. Nowhere do they talk about that. But that would be the magical solution. Even plastic, you could still just have a plastic straw. I am not opposed to plastic. Hemp plastic, make a hemp straw. It will last. You can use it and use it and use it. And you can wash it out. I have reusable straws. I wash them out. It's you take a Q-tip, and you put it down the center of the straw. You wash it out. It's pretty easy, and it's just responsible. But you know, um, they just talk here, the shift away from plastic straws began in 2018, because somebody saw a straw in a sea turtle's nose. And so, then they started targeting plastic straws and single-use plastics. But that's just what they targeted, is the single use, not ending our disposable society. So, it says places like Seattle and DC, they started banning straws. Starbucks, Disney, Marriott, they made promises to phase out straws. But I'll tell you what, now I've hit up Seattle, and I've hit up Starbucks. I could hit up Disney. Let me tell you, no one, Seattle, they won't lead with actual real solutions. No, ending our disposable society, hemp, gaining individual cooperation. No, they will not. They could have their stadium, and I've begged them, have their stadium lead with reusable stadium concessions. So Seattle doesn't care as much as they get a lot of press for, okay? So, it says as plastic straws were phased out, paper straws became the quick replacement. They were popping up at retailers across the country. Fortune reported then that one paper straw company, Aardvark Straw, saw sales increase by 5,000% in 2019. But, they got a lot of criticism. Somebody wondered if the inventor of plastic straws ever considered that they would be in prolonged contact with liquid. Well, you know what? Right here, it says a study indicated that paper straws use 70 to 90% of their strength after being in contact with liquid for less than 30 minutes. But, how long does it take for people to use that straw? It's usually less than 30 minutes. So that really isn't the problem here. The problem is that we're still talking about single-use plastics. Okay, so it was still produced. It had the wrapping on the outside of it. You take a plastic straw and you take it out of paper, and then you just throw that paper away. Not to mention the box that came in, and top of inside of the bigger box, and inside of the transportation packaging box, all of this stuff, and they all have ink on them. They have glue on them. There are so many things that are being used, and that is the problem. So, I don't know how to say that. Patel, the vice president in sales and co-founder of Beyond Green, said his company began manufacturing PHA straws around April 2021. During this time, the need for single-use products was rising due to the uptick in to-go eating during the early part of the, event, a pretend medical event, and the states where single-use plastics was restricted or banned. Restaurants or stores were in need of alternatives. So, okay, well, that's great. So they won't let them use single-use plastics, but single-use anything else. So long as it just biodegrades, we're not going to do real changes. But But he says since then the company has sold around 250 million PHA straws. Um, though Beyond Green began as a company selling compostable pet waste bags and takeout bags, 50% of its sales are now straws. Well, you know what? Takeout bags, guess what? You know what your takeout bag should be? Yeah, it should be like you bring Tupperware and you take your food home and then you have your Tupperware and you wash it. Simple. Okay, that's the real solution here. Beyond Green isn't. Um, it's it's a lot more beyond environmentally abusive than Patel and Associates have a clue about. But it says other straw makers take issue with compostable plastics like PHA and continue to push for even greener alternatives, including paper. One company, SoFi Paper Products, designed straws that were strong enough to avoid decomposing in liquid and are covered with a food grade coating to combat the papery taste of other straws. So now you got, the paper and then you have a food grade coating. That's another process. That's more ingredients. That's a bigger manufacturing process. They're available now at over 3,500 businesses and locations in the U.S. And but it's not a solution. Okay, it's just not a solution. And for disposable, I'm sorry, and I know that this is just crazy, but remember the old days when you used to just drink from a cup? I know that's crazy. And I mean, right here, oh my God, I'm walking down the street. I would have to open up the lid, I'd have to stop, I'd have to take a sip. Oh my God, do you know how much trouble that is? I mean, in a lot of respects, when we're talking about straws, we just shouldn't even have a straw. Okay. So, you know, at economic collapse, we're going to be getting to, solutions, real solutions. So until then, we talk about ridiculous stuff like this and make ridiculous things like just because it now disappears after we use it, we think it's environmental, but it's not. And these next few paragraphs just, talk about some blah, blah, blah ridiculousness. But here, Leeds, let's find out who Leeds is. Oh, Leeds is Brandon Leeds, who co-founded that SoFi paper products company. So down here, Leeds they summed it up with Leeds talking, and he said, I look at straws personally as the initial step into the conversion of how to reduce plastic. And I think it was just kind of the lowest fruit in terms of getting rid of bigger pieces of plastic and just kind of a way to start the conversation. But that's very remedial, and what Leeds doesn't know is what all environmental voices have prevented since November 93. And if we embarked on the solutions the world needs and ended our disposable society and used hemp, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation today. We would be a reusable society. Okay, we wouldn't be talking about, oh my God, we're so good because now when we're done with our single use product, we just no longer see it. So I feel so good about myself. But that's not the solution. This is the solution. And we are way decades into all of the consequences of all of the toxins and all of the emissions and all of everything, all of the water use and water demand that all of the processes that we use to get disposable products into our hand and away from, make them disappear. Whether they stay there forever after, they get out of our sight, but as long as we can throw them in a bag and they go away, we're happy. But that's not the solution. This is the solution, ending our disposable society. And we are decades past the need to kind of a way to start the conversation. We need to get going on actual real solutions and put these companies like SoFi Paper and Beyond Green out of business. Beyond Green is not green. We're going to do a video about them. You know what's green? The environmental education and agenda that no one will allow since November 93. And that no one is everyone you could think of environmentally. So stay tuned, people.